Hello, hope you're all well. So CSV, the comma separated value format. Here I've got housing data. So there's the median value of each house, the age of the house, the number of rooms. Now CSV files can store large amounts of data or variables in plain text. And every new line is a new row, and each row has a column which is separated by the comma. In this particular example, the first row is the headers row. Now if we want to load this data into our Python program, we can do this using the Python Csv module, which allows us to pass these file types. So let's give that a go and read the housing.csv file. So let's import CSV. Now we want to load that file in, so let's open up a context, so with, and then open the file name, so housing.csv, and the default mode for the open function is read, so we'll leave that as that, and we'll give it the reference F. So the CSV module provides us with a reader function, so let's read the CSV file in. So we'll do reader equals CSV module and then the reader function inside it, and then we pass in our file. Now let's loop through each row in our file, so reader, and let's print each row. Let's give that a run, and you can see it's printed out each row as a list, and in the list it's got a string element for each column in that row. Now when we read a CSV file, it's always a string format, so if we want to change these numbers into the correct format, so a float, we would have to change the type of each element in the row list. And you can see it's also printed out the header as one of the rows. Let's go and take the header out as a separate line. So headers equals, and so the reader object follows the iterable protocol. So it has a dunder next function, which gives back the next row in the iteration. Since this is the first time it's iterated over the reader, we'll get the first row in headers. So if we give this a run, you'll see that we won't have headers at the top of the output anymore. So if you want to change the output from a list to a dictionary, so each column has the header as the key against each individual value, we can make use of the Dict Reader. So let's get rid of this line here. Now with the Dict Reader, we pass in the file, and we also have a parameter called field names, and in there we can pass it a list of the column headers, but in our case our first row is the header, so if we don't provide it the field names, by default it takes first row as the field names. So if we give this a run, we can see that we now, instead of a list, we get an ordered dictionary where each column header is mapped against the value of that column for each row. So that's how you read in a CSV file. Now let's look at writing a CSV file. So let's say we have a list of student tuples. So we have the student name, the grade, and their age. Let's import CSV. Now let's open up a CSV file in the write mode. Pass it the file name, so students.csv, and the mode is write, so we'll pass it a W, and let's give it the reference F. So the CSV module gives you a writer function, so let's create a writer object. So csv.writer, and we'll pass it the file. Now the writer object has the function write rows, where we can just pass in the list of sequences. So we can pass in student records, and let's give that a run. And you can see it's created our students.csv file, and if we look in there, we have our student, the grade, and their ages. Let's say we want to add headers in the first line of the CSV file. So before we write the rows, let's write a single row. So let's do write row instead of rows, and then in there let's pass in a list. So the first column is name, and then the second column is grade, and the third column is age. Now if we give that a run and look at the student CSV file, we can see now we have name, grade, and age as the first line of the CSV file. So that's how you read in CSV files and write out CSV files using the CSV module. I hope this video helped, and I'll see you next time.